Hey guys, this is Crowbar Zero, and after this coming tournament, that'll be done here shortly, um, I should be about halfway to getting my very last ultimate weapon, which for me, and you will see here, cost me 3,000 stones to get. So let's get into it, and I'm just going to kind of lay out a map for even the beginning players, so that they can look at everything and go, okay, maybe this is the order on which I want to buy out these ultimate weapons. Now, when update 19 hits, things could be flipped, completely upside down. So who knows? Fuds, who's the developer of the game, he has mentioned and teased some things about, things like chain lightning, smart missiles getting a buff, and for people that are currently in the update 18 meta, probably like, wait, what? Smart missiles getting a buff? That's crazy. But that's kind of the word on the street. Anyway, let's get into it. So, first kind of recommended weapon that you want to get, and they say, like, I don't want to put tiers to these things. It's more like, hey, let's try to get this as early as possible. So, think there's RNG when it comes to these. So if you can get Golden Tower as your first ultimate weapon, awesome. And you're probably not going to be able to get all of these, perfectly lined up in order, but, do the best you can. Anyway, Golden Tower, one of the best starting ultimate weapons. You'll eventually reach the point that you'll realize, oh, hey, half of my coin income is coming specifically from Golden Tower, which is awesome. It also increases the amount of cash that you run, that you acquire on every round, so that will also be helpful in pushing you higher into your waves than you would without it. So that's usually the first step. And you usually don't have to do anything crazy to your setup, just keep on climbing your waves like you normally do. Yeah, really simple. The next one that I would recommend is Black Hole. Now, Black Hole allows you to start looking into actually running an orb demo setup. So I covered that in another video, but when you get the lab for Black Hole, that allows you to tailor your setup so you're maximizing the coin bonus out of Black Hole. So, eventually you can reach the point where, well, you can see right now, it's times 10.5. I'm actually currently working on the lab to get that up to times 11. That's the cap on it. If you go like, hey, and it's multiplicative with Golden Tower too. So you really want to make sure that the cooldowns on that are nicely lined up. Don't go beyond 2 minutes and 30 seconds unless you know exactly what you're doing, but you definitely want to synchronize the cooldowns for Black Hole and Golden Tower. So, second ultimate weapon that you should be shooting for, Black Hole. So nice. You'll start to see a really nice increase in your coins, especially if you are running a setup with Orb Demo. Third one you should be looking at is Spotlight. Now this one is a little bit on the pricey side, but once basically you have the maximum number of spotlights going on, and you've got the maximum coin bonus, you're looking at overall doubling your amount of coin gain. So this is why I would suggest this over some of the other ultimate weapons, because a lot of people are still going to be working on their workshop for a very long time. I don't even have this totally maxed out yet, but this came out much later into the game, so I'm just kind of doing what I can. But I do have now the lab for Energy Shield 3, which is the most expensive running, so I'm kind of like juggling my priorities right now because coins are not the number one anymore. So, number 4. Number 4. Now, by the time you get to number 4, you're probably looking at, if you did get everything in order, you're going to be wanting to look at Chrono Field. Chrono Field is a huge help. But I would say it's kind of also a little bit of a tie. You might also want to look at Death Wave, because Death Wave, when that goes out, you can get a coin multiplier. It's not a lot, but it is a little bit. It will raise your effective hit points, so I'm kind of like torn between the two. Especially because like Death Wave, when you get really, really high up, the value of that really drops off because you're no longer doing any sort of demo at all. So between those, it's kind of a toss-up, maybe a little bit more preference to Death Wave first, so you can build up that effective hit points, and then you would be looking at the Chrono Field as your number 5. Once you get 100% time with that, which even though the cooldown here says 1 minute cooldown, you would think that 1 minute duration is going to match up really nicely with that. There is a few like microseconds of difference, so when you're running like really, really high end, you might want to get that last second in duration. Otherwise, for a long time I did just run at 1 minute duration. Speed reduction is also super nice for Chrono Field, just keeping the enemies slower, ideally, hopefully keeping some of those packages on you, so you're benefiting them as much as possible. Now, the 6th and 7th place, I would say, goes to Inner Landmines and Poison Swamp. So, what are these used for? Excuse me. So, Inner Landmines, really good for pinning and stunning bosses, as well as keeping fast from being able to just slide past all your shots and in your tower. There is a glitch with the fast where because they're so fast, the bounce shot speeds aren't fast enough to catch up to them, and if that one bounce shot is enough to kill the fast enemy, they gain a marked for death state, where basically your tower no longer shoots at that fast enemy anymore, and they can just zoom in and hit your tower without anything really threatening it, because that bounce shot is just trying to catch you, but it just can't. Even at 99 lab, level 99 lab speed, not lab speed, attack speed, lab, once that's maxed out, it's still not enough, so hopefully that's something that's going to be going away in the future. There's been some hints that there's going to be a fix there, but Inner Landmines, super effective versus fast enemies and keeping them from hitting you, as well as stun locking bosses, so your spotlight can get on them and just rail away on these bosses. Poison Swamp. Poison Swamp is super nice as a crowd control. I would say the majority of its use would be specifically against ranged enemies. Most of the time, there's a lot of enemies that are going to be killed on kind of that outer edge of your range, and you're going to get a lot of poison swamps gathering up around that ring. So it's nice to be able to stun them in that spot. So maybe one of your death rays will come in, or your orbs will take out those fast enemies, and really reduce the threat that those enemies give to you. After that, which is the one that I'm working on right now, is Smart Missiles. So Smart Missiles are going to be really good for a couple things. One, and the most popularly used right now is against bosses. So when the bosses are coming, you're really nice and slow in towards your tower. Inner Landmines are going to stun the boss fairly close, and if your Inner Landmine speed is fast enough, it'll go through all 6, assuming you have all 6 of your landmines up. And Smart Missiles, when they hit, they amplify their damage for each successive hit, so you just and it just annihilates bosses. Super, super nice tool. The second really useful part about Smart Missiles is it's a really nice way to take out protectors. So that's one of your big concerns about protectors, kind of, you know, encroaching on your tower and keeping your orbs from blending those guys up. Smart missiles. After that, let's see. So the last one would be chain lightning, and it makes me sad because chain lightning is one of the coolest looking ultimate weapons. And right now, it's like its damage is absolutely pathetic. It's really nice that it does have, you know, a proc chance, you know, from your hits, but you don't really benefit until you start having like a really high attack speed, which I'm starting to get to that point. The damage isn't great. The damage amplifier that it applies to enemies with the shock isn't a whole lot. It maxes out at like 1.66 times. So, but still, it's for your very last ultimate weapon. The use is just kind of buttering up all the enemies all around your tower and making them just slightly easier to kill. And that's why I kind of place it as the last ultimate weapon. Everything, I would say, right now has a use, but kind of the priority that you want to get all of these things in, you know, differs from, you know, depending on what stage in the game you are. And I definitely decided that, you know, inner landmines and poison swamp kind of take the same spot. Some people really prefer poison swamp versus inner landmines. Either way, they're really both good tools. Those don't require much in the way of like really big investment because you're not going for damage with inner landmines and poison swamp. So take that. As you know, they count with a grain of salt. And also like inner landmines for quantity before you go jumping into anything. You do want the 6 quantity. Poison swamp, you want the duration of about 6 seconds. I have 7 seconds. Whatever. The poison swamp, you want about 31% chance of spawning the poison swamp. Cooldown for inner landmines, because it was fairly inexpensive, I dropped it down to 2 minutes. Hopefully, I'll be able to drop that even more. Super looking forward to that. Because that's probably one of the next things that I'm going to be aiming for after I maximize my spotlight and my smart missiles. But hopefully this gives you guys kind of an idea of like, you know, what are some of these things good for. Obviously spotlight, eventually you can get up to like ×3/6 damage, covering like almost like half the map, which is absolutely insane. You know, they have a lot of other uses, but just kind of trying to portray like, okay, you know, maybe you're looking at ultimate weapons, you're like, oh, inner landmines, that looks like it's a really nice damaging ultimate weapon. Well, the use of it's not really for the damage, it's more for the stun. And same thing with the poison swamp. It's just, you're stunning different enemies. So, anyway, I hope that's useful for you guys, and I will catch you guys later.